While it's true that everyone is different and has their own unique way of thinking, some people just seem to do things that make absolutely no sense to others. Well, if you are a Sigma, chances are you have faced this issue multiple times. It can be frustrating and confusing when people around you act in ways that seem completely irrational and illogical. It's not that you're incapable of understanding the human psyche, but when it comes to certain actions or decisions, you simply cannot wrap your head around the reasoning behind them. Let's take a look at 11 things that make absolutely no sense to Sigma males. Number 1. Pressing the elevator button repeatedly, thinking it will make it arrive faster. This action is a perfect example of how people often engage in illogical behaviors without realizing it. Pressing the button 10 times in a row won't make the elevator arrive any faster. But for some reason, many people seem to believe that continuous pressing will somehow speed things up. For those who have a Sigma personality, this is simply mind-boggling. You can't help but wonder what goes through someone's mind when they do this, and it's hard not to get a little annoyed by the senselessness of it all. So, why do people keep pressing it? Perhaps it's out of impatience, or maybe it's just a mindless habit. Maybe it gives them a sense of control in a situation otherwise out of their hands. But let's get real. Repeatedly pressing the button won't make the elevator move any faster. It's a useless action that simply doesn't make sense. Sigma men tend to focus on logic and rationality, making it challenging to comprehend why someone would waste their time and energy on something that has no impact on the outcome. This particular action might seem harmless, but it highlights a broader issue of people engaging in habits that serve no purpose. Number 2. Spending money on expensive branded items just for the label. Many people splurge on high-end brands, even when similar quality products are available at a fraction of the price. They pay an excessive amount of money just for the brand tag, an action that can be quite confusing for Sigmas. It's as if the label on their clothes or accessories somehow defines their worth or boosts their social standing. This endless pursuit of acquiring fancy brands, especially when it's done merely for the sake of showing off, is something Sigma men find difficult to comprehend. To a rational mind, the value of an item should be assessed based on its utility, quality, and longevity, not merely the brand name attached to it. Spending money extravagantly just for the prestige associated with a brand seems like a misguided attempt at seeking validation. It's hard to understand why someone would spend their hard-earned money on something so superficial, especially when they can't afford it. This not only reflects a lack of financial prudence, but also suggests an overemphasis on outward appearances and materialistic values. It might even imply a sense of insecurity or a desperate need to fit in. Buying designer brand products can trap people in a cycle of chasing status, which Sigma men find unnecessary and unfulfilling. But no matter what the reasoning behind it, this action is simply irrational and makes absolutely no sense to Sigma men. Number 3. Exaggerating enthusiasm when receiving a gift they don't like. We've all experienced it at some point in our lives. You open a gift, and it's something you don't like or need, but you put on a show of exaggerated excitement and gratitude. To Sigma, this is akin to dishonesty. They believe in being authentic and genuine, even if it means admitting they don't like the gift or have no use for it. They may not say it outright, but they won't pretend to be something they're not. They would simply thank the person for their gesture and move on without the unnecessary theatrics. It's not just the fakeness that bothers Sigma men. It's the fact that people feel the need to put up a facade instead of being true to themselves and their feelings. This action is a prime example of how society often values appearances over substance, and it's something Sigma men struggle to comprehend. While some might argue that pretending to love a gift is done to avoid hurting the giver's feelings, Sigmas would probably suggest a simple expression of gratitude without all the exaggeration. Being true to oneself and others is essential for these men, even if it means being a little unconventional. They don't see the point in pretending to be overjoyed when they're not, especially when it goes against their honest and rational nature. Number 4. Holding the door open for someone at an awkwardly long distance, forcing them to hurry. You're approaching a door and someone ahead of you holds it open for you. But there's a catch. They're so far ahead that you must quicken your pace to get to the door. This action, although intended as polite, becomes awkward and somewhat stressful, turning a simple walk into an unexpected sprint. There's an unspoken rule regarding the right distance to hold the door open for someone. When that rule is broken, it creates an uncomfortable situation. The person holding the door is left waiting, while the person approaching feels rushed. This whole scenario seems to defy the purpose of courtesy. After all, the essence of politeness lies in making others feel comfortable, not pressurized. Sigma men find this practice without logic. Why turn a kind gesture into a source of discomfort? Isn't it more reasonable to time your chivalry right, or just let the other person open the door themselves? For Sigma men, this act is another example of society's strange expectations of doing things more for form than function. It's a behavior they find hard to make sense of, given their preference for practicality over pretense. Number 5. Always checking the phone around others, even when not expecting anything. Living in the digital age, people are increasingly glued to their smartphones. It's as if checking the phone every few minutes has become a compulsive behavior, irrespective of whether there are new notifications or not. It's really baffling when people have this habit of constantly peeking into their screens, even when they're in the middle of a conversation. The action of incessantly checking one's phone, even when not expecting anything, is a mystery to the logical and minimalist mindset of Sigma men. They value genuine human interactions and believe that being present in the moment is key. This action seems not only illogical, but also rude and insensitive. It's as if people are prioritizing their virtual lives over the real ones happening right in front of them. This behavior may give some people a false sense of being connected, or it may just be a mindless habit born out of the smartphone era. But to Sigma men, it simply doesn't make sense. Number 6. Sharing every detail of their personal life on social media. The idea of exposing intimate details, from what you ate for breakfast to your deepest thoughts and feelings, seems counterintuitive. It's as if the world has become a stage, and each individual feels compelled to perform, to share, and to document every moment, regardless of its significance. Everyone is a personal brand now, and social media is the stage for their self-promotion. Even when they have nothing to say, they feel the need to post something. It doesn't matter if it's mundane or irrelevant. It's the constant need for attention and validation that Sigma men simply cannot comprehend. Social media is an incredible tool, but the need to overshare can be draining. Letting strangers have a sneak peek into your personal life may not only compromise your privacy, but can also create unnecessary pressure to present a perfect image. This culture of oversharing often leads to comparison, envy, and even anxiety among peers. Number 7. Nodding in agreement even when not listening. This tendency to fake attention or agreement might be a way of avoiding conflict or maintaining civility in a conversation, but it's hardly an honest or respectful way to engage. This behavior is common in many conversations, where one person seems to be listening, but is actually lost in their own thoughts. Yet they continue to nod their heads in approval or agreement, creating a facade of attentiveness. This action seems to stem from a societal norm of appearing interested or polite, even when the reality is quite the opposite. It's as if the act of nodding has become an automatic reflex, irrespective of whether the person understands or even hears the conversation. Although this act may seem harmless, it signifies a disconnection and lack of genuine engagement in the conversation. It's a baffling behavior that ultimately dilutes the essence of meaningful communication. For Sigma men, this act is hard to digest. Why pretend to listen and agree when one is not genuinely involved? It's a question that echoes the confusion surrounding this common but nonsensical behavior. Number 8. Faking laughter at jokes that aren't funny. People might fake laughter for various reasons. They might want to appear polite, to fit in, or to avoid hurting the joke teller's feelings. Some might do it out of habit, or because they feel it's expected in certain social situations. However, these reasons often don't align with the Sigma's perspective. He sees no point in pretending to find something funny when he doesn't. Imagine being in a social setting where someone cracks a joke that falls flat. Instead of acknowledging the awkwardness, people around start laughing hysterically as if it's the funniest thing they've ever heard. The boss might crack a lame joke, and the entire team scrambles to laugh along, even though they don't find it funny. This is not only dishonest, but also highlights the need for approval and conformity in society. It's a confusing behavior that seems to be more about fitting into the social norms than enjoying a good laugh. Sigma men don't see the point in faking it just for the sake of going along with everyone else. This act not only devalues genuine humor, but also encourages insincere behavior. It simply makes no sense to them. Number 9. Giving compliments they don't genuinely mean. Offering empty compliments is a common social ritual. People often dole out praises they don't honestly mean, just for the sake of being polite or avoiding conflict. For example, someone might praise a friend's new hairstyle, even if they think it doesn't suit them. Or an employee might compliment their boss's ideas, despite privately thinking they're not viable. This behavior is about maintaining social harmony and not ruffling feathers, but it comes at the cost of your integrity. To put it bluntly, this practice makes little sense, especially for Sigma men. When a compliment is not genuinely meant, it loses its value. It becomes an empty gesture, a sugar-coated lie. It's like giving someone a beautifully wrapped box, but there's nothing inside. It's deceiving and, in a way, disrespectful. Your boss or friend might appreciate genuine feedback more than fake praise. Even if their face might not initially show it, they'll respect you for being true to yourself and them. Number 10. Wearing mismatched socks intentionally as a fashion statement. While Sigma men are nonconformists, they are also practical and rational. They don't understand the need to make a statement just for the sake of it. Wearing mismatched socks might seem like an act of rebellion or individuality, but in reality, it's just another trend that people follow to fit into a certain image. It's not authentic or unique, but a manufactured form of self-expression. In a world where standing out is often celebrated, it's ironic that people resort to a trend to stand out. Sigma men don't see the point in conforming to a non-conformist standard. They believe in genuine self-expression, not following trends or trying to make a statement for the sake of it. This behavior further highlights society's obsession with appearances and fitting into predefined boxes. Sigma men see it as an attempt to draw attention or stand out, which contradicts their preference for low-key and unassuming behavior. Number 11. Offering to help someone, hoping the person will decline the offer. A peculiar habit that often puzzles Sigma men is offering assistance with a secret hope that the offer will be declined. You may have experienced this in your daily life. Maybe a friend offers to help you move, slightly praying you'll say no. Or a colleague proposes to take on an extra work task, all the while wishing you'll turn down their offer. This behavior seems truly confusing. Why would you put forth an offer of help if you don't genuinely wish to provide it? This practice often stems from a desire to appear kind and helpful without the corresponding commitment or effort. It may serve to maintain a favorable social image, but it's fundamentally deceptive. It portrays a false persona of willingness and generosity, while the reality could be far from it. While Sigma men believe in being helpful and kind when genuinely needed, they don't understand the point of offering help if you secretly wish to be turned down. It's another example of society's need for validation and approval, even at the cost of honesty.